And then I call this meeting to order. Roll call, Melissa.
Commissioner Maxon,
Here.
Commissioner York,
Aye. Here.
Commissioner Van Oster,
Here.
Vice Mayor Doan.
Present.
Vice Mayor Doan is joining us by phone, and Mayor Bauer will not be in attendance tonight.
Okay, all right, thank you. Next on our agenda is our invocation, and tonight we have Pastor Kevin O'Connor with the Agape Fellowship Church, and he will start our meeting off.
Lord, we come before you tonight humbly, and we ask that you would help us tonight as we discuss the business of the commission, Lord. Help our commissioners, Lord, make the right decisions. Lead them, guide them, and direct them, and help Coffeyville continue to grow and thrive. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rip. Appreciate it. Okay, next we review the agenda. Are there any changes or additions that anybody wants to make to the agenda at this time? None? Okay, then we'll move on to our consent agenda, which consists of two items: the City Commission meeting minutes from Tuesday, January 9th, 2020, and appropriation ordinance number AO-20-12 for $3,345,517.72. Is there any discussion over these items? The only thing I have is, once again, this is one of the larger ones. And again, most of it consists of our power purchase from Grand River Dam Authority of approximately $2 million. And then the transmission service for that power from Southwest Power Pool of $460,000. We also had our first installment for the 2019 audit, and it was $1,033. And I think that's it, unless anybody else has anything.
Quite a bit of weed lot mowing in there as well, so it's that time of year, so, yeah.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything? Okay.
No.
All right. I'll make a motion to approve items 1 and 2 of the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion is made by Commissioner Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner Maxon to approve items 1 and 2 of the consent agenda as presented. Commissioner York,
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster,
Aye.
Commissioner Maxon,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Doan.
Aye.
Okay. Next item on our agenda is 2020 Appropriation Ordinance Number AO-20-12A, items for $125.59. Do you have any discussion?
If there are no questions, I'll move to approve item 3 of the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion is made by Commissioner York, seconded by Commissioner Maxon to approve item 3 of the consent agenda as presented. Commissioner Van Oster,
Abstain?
Commissioner Maxon,
Aye.
Commissioner York,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Doan.
Aye.
Okay. Item G, comments. These are comments from the public. The public is free to comment on items not listed on the agenda. We ask you please address comments to the commission as a body. Please be mindful of others who may wish to speak also by limiting comments to 3 minutes. Do we have anything this evening?
Kim Maxon, 3507 West 7th. But actually, what I would like to ask tonight is about downtown. We're starting to get more and more people coming downtown. They're starting to come do Death Alley, walk down Death Alley and just around the chamber, Ishams. Is there some way to get some kind of a schedule of like the street sweeper to come downtown? If you look, and a lot of the businesses, they do a good job, but the street sweeper never comes downtown. I am there at 7:30 in the morning till midnight, all hours of the day, and I very seldomly see the street sweeper come downtown. We've seen it over on Union Street with like the water truck doing all those when we were going to the tree dump. And we see it going down weird streets, but never downtown. So I didn't know if there was, and I do know there's cars down there, they say they can't get in some of the parking spots. But I know if you'll let some of us business owners know that, hey, we're going to be down there Tuesday at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm sure most of the cars that are parked there, we would move over to like either the Haymaker lot or, so they could be able to get in to all the parking spots. I just think with people are now wanting to get out because they haven't been able to get out for a long time. And downtown is kind of one of our focal points of the Dalton history. We need it to look nice, And if we can get the street sweeper, Bob and I are the ones, we do hose off our sidewalks, we try to keep it clean. But, if we can get the street sweeper, even Death Alley, there is, unfortunately, that's the only place for all of our businesses, on 9th Street and 8th Street to put our dumpsters. We walk to Isham's to get stuff all the time, and there's trash down that alley. We pick it up, but it's not something that I can do on a daily basis. So if we can get the street sweeper to come down at least once a week, if possible. So that's all I have.
We thank you, Kim. We'll see what we can do for you and let you know. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Anybody else? Okay. We will move on to our regular agenda items. We have no public hearings, special presentations, or proclamations this evening, and we have no old business, so we'll move on to new business. We have ordinance S-20-03, which is an ordinance to allow alcohol to be served on 9th Street during the Coffeyville Chamber of Commerce Hops Around Town Beer Festival event scheduled on October 10th of 2020. Paul Kreitz, our city attorney, will make comments on this item.
Commissioners, this will look familiar to you because we did something similar last year. In fact, it's just a regurgitation of last year's staff report and ordinance, and I think they've massaged their event a little bit. They are requesting approval again, and you see the ordinances there with the highlights that allow you to make exempt that public street for the hours of the event. They are requesting that the exemption be in place from 12 noon until 9 p.m. on October the 10th for the event. I didn't attend last year, but I heard it was a successful event.
Yes, it was very well
It was
attended.
very well attended and no issues out of it, so everybody was well behaved and went very well, yes.
So this would be first reading if you all approve, and then we'd have it on the agenda for the next meeting as well for final
Okay.
approval.
All right. Okay.
Does anybody have anything?
Yeah,
All right.
sure.
I move to approve ordinance S-20-03 as presented.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Commissioner Maxon, seconded by Commissioner Van Oster to approve ordinance S-20-03 as presented. Commissioner Maxon,
Aye.
Commissioner York,
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Doan.
Aye.
Okay. Our next item on the agenda is Resolution R-20-38, which is a resolution to approve an agreement with the FAA for the CARES Act grant. Thomas Osborne, our Superintendent of Engineering, will make comments on this.
Good evening, Commissioners, Vice Mayor. The FAA, as part of the CARES Act that was passed by the federal government as far as for responding to COVID-19, they've given us the option to request, which we did, a grant for up to $30,000. It's basically $30,000 to be used at the airport, whether that's we pay for mowing, hangar repairs, anything that the general income that would be generated from rentals or anything like that, that we can use this money for that. There is no city match. It's 100% city fund or 100% federal funds to be used towards those things. This is just the formal agreement to accept those monies. We have four years to use them. So be happy to answer any questions.
It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, you could tell it was a federal government program just from all the extra programs and extra
Yes.
language in there, and my goodness, some stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with airports or anything else, but
Texting
it all
and
gets
driving,
included in that
2009.
language, so, yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, I move to approve Resolution R-20-38 as presented.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Commissioner Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner York to approve Resolution R-20-38 as presented. Commissioner York.
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster.
Aye.
Commissioner Maxon.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Doan.
Aye.
Okay. Next item, Resolution R-20-39, which is a resolution to award a construction contract for the 2020 intersection and drainage improvements project. Thomas Osborne, our Superintendent of Engineering, will make comments on this.
Thank you again, Commissioners and Vice Mayor. Every year, we try to put together a package of intersections just to try to help improve the drainage throughout Coffeyville and just get everything flowing where it's supposed to be in the proper channels. This year, originally we had selected 5 intersections, and we added a 6th one. 3 of these intersections, basically they tie into other grant projects where either the grant funding didn't cover that, or it couldn't go that far and spin on it, or it didn't qualify it, but it makes the project whole, really. And those would be First in Ohio, First in Parkview, the Safe Routes to School grant. We have brand new sidewalks, but the street itself has deteriorated, so trying to cross the crosswalk, part of the street, part of the crosswalk, it's definitely not ADA accessible. This would fix that. It would also be, the crosswalks would be the red stamped brick, so we wouldn't have to worry about painting in the future as well. So that helps us with that. 10th in Camden was the one that we added, and it's the end of the 10th Street project. And of course, with the CDBG grant, it had to stop on the west side of Camden by going ahead and doing the intersection that completes that project all the way to the college. So that whole street's been
Yeah.
taken care of all the way from Buckeye to the college.
All right.
And then, of course, the others 3 are more for either flooding, which is First and Roosevelt, we have a large flooding issue, so that should help solve a lot of that. And then some safety concerns at 3rd and Grant, and especially Kansas and Pacific. Kansas and Pacific has some very steep ditches on either side, and it's starting to eat into the intersection. There was a total of 3 alternates put together for this bid. 2 alternates were for First in Ohio, and those were to go ahead and extend the curb and gutter 152 feet south on Ohio Street because it's disappeared. It's had what we call deep cracking, or it just essentially exploded, gone. There's nothing there. It's just a hole beside the road. As well as the second one was to fix approximately 6 feet of asphalt where it's been shoved from buses or the trash truck or whatever through that area, where we have fixed last year a swell across there that held a lot of water and caused a lot of water getting in the subbase. So this just kind of fixes that all the way up to First in Ohio. So that's the 2 add alternates there. And then we had another add alternate down at First and Roosevelt, and this is to add more storm sewer to the south to help catch a lot of the water before it ever gets to First and Roosevelt. That intersection, we have plenty of capacity in the pipe, but we don't have enough inlets to actually grab it and bring it into the system. So that would add 2 more inlets farther south with that add alternate. My recommendation would be to approve all 3 add alternates and award a construction agreement with RIC Construction in the amount of $412,015.51. Be happy to answer any questions.
And I know you've got the correct documents to go with this. Okay, that's good. And then can you kind of explain probably the time frame
Okay.
that this project, hopefully,
Yeah,
will
hopefully,
happen?
we have, pending approval tonight, we have a scheduled pre-construction meeting for 10 o'clock Thursday.
Okay.
They would probably go ahead and start saw cutting first thing Thursday morning, and probably be ripping out before we actually have our pre-construction meeting. The pre-construction meeting largely is to make sure all the handout, all the paperwork, and make sure everybody's going the same direction. Moeller Construction is working with RIC as their sub. So they're gonna handle all the dirt work, tear out and stuff like that, and we've worked with them for several years on these same projects. So we don't foresee any issues there. And then they would start on, I think they're gonna start on First and Parkview, get it ripped out, and then immediately jump over to First and Ohio and rip out that whole intersection. First and Parkview is just the swell to the north. It's not all the way across First Street. That would allow them to get everything ripped out and hopefully get our water contractors in there, because we have water line to replace in that intersection. From there, they will do both of those projects simultaneously at the same time. And everything, weather permitting, all that would be, and assuming there's been some rumors school may start early. I don't know if that's with the grade school as well as just the college, but hopefully get everything done before school were to actually open, so.
Okay.
So the water line work, is that going to be to move those water lines out from underneath that, or just to?
It's because it's in the intersection, it's got across the street, so it'd just be to replace it with new, so that there's, shouldn't
The
be.
chance of breakage is less?
Yeah, it reduces our chance of having to dig up a new intersection.
What fund is this coming out of?
This comes out of the sales tax transportation.
Okay.
Okay. Are there any further questions for Thomas? Okay, if not, I will move to approve Resolution R-20-39 as presented.
Second.
Motion is made by Commissioner Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner Maxson to approve Resolution R-20-39 as presented. Commissioner Van Oster,
Aye.
Commissioner Maxson,
Aye.
Commissioner York,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Down.
Aye.
Okay, the next item on the agenda has to do with the item we just approved. It's Resolution R-20-40. It's a resolution to award construction engineering work authorization for the 2020 intersection and drainage improvement projects. Thomas Osborne, once again, will make comments on this.
Thank you, Commissioners and Vice Mayor. Again, this is for the 2020 intersection drainage improvement, same intersections. Algar Martin and Associate is who we had do the design on this project for these intersections. Typically, we like to have the same engineer that does the design do the construction engineering, because if there's a question, they have all the data. It's not going back and forth between multiple entities. So it just helps keep everything running smooth. We've worked with Algar Martin for quite a few years. They are one of the engineering firms that we have a on-call agreement with. And so this would just be a work authorization under that on-call agreement, not to exceed $90,000 for construction inspection of these projects.
That would be at their standard rate that we always.
Yeah, it's based off the standard rates.
And just to point out, to let everybody know, these projects that come up, they just don't get created, like say in February and then start in June or July, because this one's been going on since last year as far as the design and so forth in August. So it takes a while for all the designs to get presented and drawn up, and then proceed with the bid letting and all that. So
I
anyway.
would add, this year, we had this ready to bid right as COVID hit, and so that's when everything shut down, and that's why it's delayed, so it's so much of a rush to get in before
Right.
school starts. But
Okay, all right.
We're gonna try to get it done and work with Rick to get it done, so.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. If there are no further questions, I will move to approve Resolution R-20-40 as presented.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Commissioner Van Oster, seconded by Vice Mayor Doan to approve Resolution R-20-40 as presented. Commissioner Maxson,
Aye.
Commissioner York,
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Doan.
Aye.
Okay, moving on. Our next is Resolution R-20-41, which is a resolution to approve the cooperation agreement for rehabilitation of a non-federal flood control work. Thomas Osborne will make presentation again.
Thank you again, Commissioners and Vice Mayor. This, as you know, last year in May, there was a very close call with the levee. We had some sand boils, and as well as at one point we had part of the clay cap was actually floating in the ditch on the east side of the tank farm for CVR. In order to battle those sand boils and stop that cap from floating, we actually dammed up a culvert that crosses that ditch and backflooded water 5 to 6 feet deep as far back as we could get. It stopped the movement of material through the levee, and it pushed that cap back down. So this is to kind of build a flood structure so that we can actually do that much easier, as well as be able to, for cleanup, take it back down much easier. This also, as the waters got close to the top of the levee, the decision and recommendation was made to windrow the top of the levee for the length of it. That added between 12 to 18 inches to help stem that flow in case it got up there. We lucked out, it got right there close, but it never did actually cap up and go up and actually get on that windrow. But this also pays to scarify the top of the levee and recompact it down with potentially there'll be more gravel brought in because of just to get the surface the way it was before. This is not a levee raising project. We're still looking at different options for that, but this is not what that would do. Any raising would be, it just happened. That's not what the intent is, and legally they can't say that they would raise it. So it's going back to the way the condition of the levee before we had to windrow it, which is the solid road base on top. So the agreement, 20% would have to come from the city, and that would be $130,932. And then we also are responsible for all right-of-way acquisitions and easement access. We are currently still waiting for a response back from CVR on the access agreement. The courts, we believe we have an easement and everything looks good, but we just haven't heard back from CVR to make sure they're signed off on everything. So that will come later. Hopefully we don't have to call a special meeting. The Corps is pushing us very hard to get it in and ready. That's why I went ahead and brought this agreement tonight instead of waiting for that other agreement to get finished.
So the total amount that will be spent is it $700 and some thousand
Almost
dollars?
$800,000,
Yeah,
$797,000.
Yeah, I thought it was something like that. Okay. And then, so our portion is the 20%, which is 139, 32.
So, can I speak up real quick?
Sure.
So, this is weird. Going back to previous discussion, Thomas, and I'm not going to get this correct, but the gentleman that we needed to speak to concerning the levy, is that going to cause any problems in the future with this?
It should not. I think you're talking about the Verdigris River Drainage District Board.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, that doesn't have shouldn't have anything to do with this. So that is another issue that we need to address, but it's not affected by this. So.
Very good.
Any further questions?
Like a pretty straightforward agreement, actually. If there are
Okay.
no other questions, I'll move to approve Resolution R20-41 as presented.
Second.
Motion is made by Commissioner York, seconded by Commissioner Maxson to approve Resolution R-20-41 as presented. Commissioner York,
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster,
Aye.
Commissioner Maxson,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Down.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas, for everything. Next item on the agenda is Resolution R-20-42, which is a resolution authorizing execution of the annual request to exchange federal funds under the Federal Aid Fund Exchange Master Agreement. Chuck Shively, our Director of Public Works, will make comments on this.
Commissioners and Vice Mayor, each year KDOT voluntarily distributes a portion of their federal fund allotment to eligible cities and counties based on their population. Since the program uses federal fund, all projects paid with the funds have to meet all the federal requirements like Davis-Bacon wage rates, federal design standards, and the federal requirements go on and on, which adds significantly to the cost of the projects and the length of time required to complete the projects. In addition, the use of federal funds is restricted to projects that are eligible as federal aid projects. So only specific approved projects on specific approved streets are eligible. But through the Federal Fund Exchange Program, KDOT will exchange those federal funds for state funds, which don't have the federal strings attached, at an exchange rate determined by KDOT. Then the city can spend the state funds on almost any transportation project we choose, and KDOT will use the federal funds on one of their large federal project that already has the strings attached. This year, the Federal Fund Exchange Program exchange rate is 90 cents on the dollar, which is what it's been every year since this was initiated, except one year it was 75 cents. The amount of federal funds allotted to Coffeyville this year is $215,134.39 to be used for a federally approved project by next September. If exchanged for the state funds, the amount will be $193,620.95 to be used to reimburse the city for whatever street project we choose to request the reimbursement that we completed this year. So I recommend approval of the resolution authorizing the mayor to execute the request to exchange federal funds under the Federal Aid Fund Exchange Master Agreement. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So on the 215,000,
Yes.
if we presented a project by September of this year,
It would have to actually be complete by September.
Okay, it has to
So
be
the truth
complete.
is, it couldn't be done,
no, that is correct.
especially
So-
with all the federal
Right.
attachments.
That go to it.
You'd
So,
have to have it all designed and everything last year.
okay. So we do the exchange, and we get $193,620.95, and then we can use those to reimburse on
Yeah,
whatever.
we just put it back into our
Transportation fund,
And
and that'll-
I'll use one of, like the 10th Street project
Uh-huh.
to request the funds. We completed it this year, they'll say, okay, you spent more than this,
Okay.
here's your money.
All right, okay.
Do we have a particular project in mind for those funds at this time?
Well, we just go ahead with the projects and that money goes into the funds. So specifically for that one, I'll probably, like I said, use the 10th Street project that we just completed to send in the forms and get the money.
Okay. Sounds good. Does anybody have any questions over this?
I'd move to approve Resolution R-20-42 as presented.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Commissioner Maxon, seconded by Commissioner Van Oster to approve Resolution R-20-42 as presented. Commissioner Van Oster,
Aye.
Commissioner Maxon,
Aye.
Commissioner York,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Doan.
Okay. Thank you,
Aye.
Chuck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Next on our agenda is Resolution R-20-43, which is a resolution to authorize execution of grant agreement number 20-CV-013 with the State of Kansas Department of Commerce. Stephanie Richardson, our Finance Director, and Chuck Shively, our Director of Public Works, will make comments on this. Stephanie, is your comment, okay.
Is this good with the mic? Okay. Mayor and Commissioners, the purpose of the agenda item this evening is to enter into an agreement with the Kansas Department of Commerce for the CDBG/CV grant funds that the city was awarded for helping with economic development for local businesses to retain jobs for the low to moderate income people, and the meals program to provide access to nutritious foods during the pandemic. On May 22nd, the Commission held a public hearing and approved the application documents for an application for $400,000 worth of grant funds. On June 4th, we were notified by the governor's office that we were awarded $167,000. So we have received the grant agreement and all of the associated documents that goes along with that. And the grant agreement, in order to accept it, needs to be signed within 30 days of the award date, which was June 2nd. The contract period will begin on June 15th of 2020, and we must have all of the funds expended within 1 year of the contract start date. Staff is working with Montgomery County Action Council, the City of Independence, and Montgomery County on the grant application portal, which can be found on actioncouncil.com beginning tomorrow. It will go live tomorrow, and applications will be taken through July 19th. Once those applications are received, they will be reviewed by MAC to make sure that those applications are complete. There are several different forms that go along that they'll have to submit along with the SurveyMonkey application. And then they will be sent to the Regional Planning Commission, which is our grant administrator, to make sure that everything adheres to the grant requirements. At that point, then they'll come to the City Commission for the final approval and the grant awards to those businesses. At this time, we're kind of focused on getting the economic development piece of it done. We will be bringing back a process for the meal program so the Commission can also go through that process as well. But this evening, we need to authorize the grant agreement with Department of Commerce, and we'll get that submitted back to the state so that we are in compliance to that point and moving forward.
What was the website again for you?
Actioncouncil.com is the Montgomery County Action Council. It will have a link on it to the SurveyMonkey application that you go through the various questions. It'll ask you the type of business and things like that. It'll inquire into the 51% low to moderate income, your number of employees. It gives some examples and things like that. Tricia has volunteered to take questions and things like that for those applicants that want to contact her in order to make sure that their application is complete.
And that again was for businesses of 50 employees or less.
50 or less, yes. They must be located within the city limits for the City of Coffeyville grant. Independence also received a grant, and the county received a grant. That is one of the questions on the application, is which area are you applying for? The businesses must have no more than 50 employees and can be as small as 1 employee. There's no less than 51% of the jobs impacted must meet the low to moderate income levels. And it's for the COVID-related hardship only. There is some requirements on duplication of funds. So if you have received, say, PPP funds or some of the loans and things like that, you'll need to specify what those were used for or what the intent of those funds were for, because you can't use these funds for that same purpose. If you use those for payroll, you may be able to apply for these for rent or utilities or things like that, but the purpose cannot be the same.
Okay.
Do you know what the county is going to do as far as their program? So how do you keep somebody from applying to both? So say it's a business.
If they're within the City of Coffeyville, they apply for City of Coffeyville.
Okay.
Is kind of what we've worked with the county and Independence and all of those.
So the county's monies then would cover everybody outside of those
Yes.
areas? Okay.
Yes.
And I'm assuming
Yeah.
you more than likely are going to do marketing to get this out to
Yes,
people on
there-
Facebook or
there has-
however you.
Yes, there has been, we've worked on an ad that's being put in the local newspapers, Independence, Coffeyville, and the Montgomery County Chronicle. It's going to run twice in each of those. We'll be putting it on Facebook, Channel 13, all of our normal outlets for getting that information out. Working with the chamber and,
Okay,
yeah.
okay,
So
all right, sounds
we're
good,
excited about this one. I hope
Yes.
it can do some good.
good, yes. And I know it
Is-
took a lot, oh, go ahead, Justin, sorry.
is it, and you asked exactly what I was asking. I'm looking at, we have about roughly 30 days before the application period is complete. So I don't want any business to come back and say, we didn't hear about this, we didn't have time. I want to make sure we do our part to try to alleviate as much of that as possible. But with the chamber, are we giving them any kind of literature that they can pass out to the businesses, or?
We haven't really worked
that-
on anything that I'm aware of as far as what MAC has put together, but I can ask and see if we can work on something to get out to the chambers. That way they have something that's getting the same information out to all of the
Absolutely.
businesses. That's a good idea.
And I know that not every business is involved with the chamber, so we could do some groundwork there. But I want to make sure to try to do as much as we can.
Absolutely.
Great point.
This is good, and I think it will help a lot of those businesses that need that help, especially. And I know it came together fast. By
Yes.
the time it was announced to you, and then you and Chuck worked on putting this together and getting it in, and I was very pleased with the response, how timely that came back, so that those that will apply and hopefully receive can get the benefit quickly to
Yes.
help them out.
And are these
So-
going to be all the same dollar amount, like a $2,000 grant? Is that what we're doing, or?
That's going to be kind of at the discretion of the commission
Okay.
that's how
How
we
we disperse it.
submitted the grant, was we were going to look at programs that way and limit it to 2,000 per employee.
Our hope is to find something that's consistent and fair and do the most good.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Sounds good.
Here again, when you read through some of the rules involved in this, you think, what in the world's that got to do with it, but, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And Chuck and I had talked, and I will be coming back to you at some point to get authorization to be able to disperse some of these funds maybe prior to commission meetings, because there are rules with these monies that once they're drawn down and the city has them, we have 3 days to get them out to the businesses. So
Okay.
that won't fit our commission meeting schedule all the
Right.
time, so.
Okay. Okay, all right, that sounds good. If there are no further questions, I move to approve Resolution R-20-43 as presented.
Second.
Motion is made by Commissioner Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner Maxon to approve Resolution R-20-43 as presented. Commissioner Maxon,
Aye.
Commissioner York,
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Down.
Aye.
Thank
Once
you.
again,
Thank you, Stephanie.
thank you, Stephanie and Chuck, for your work on this. It's much, much appreciated. Okay, our next item is Resolution R-20-44, which is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an amendment to the city's 2019-2020 Section 125 Flexible Benefit Plan to allow balances to be expended through September 30th of 2020. Also, Resolution R-20-45, which is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an amendment to the city's Section 125 Flexible Benefit Plan, increasing the annual carryover from $500 to $550. And Resolution R-20-46, which is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an amendment to the city's Meriton Health insurance document to allow coverage to telehealth visits. So all three of those are tied in together. Our Allison Pryor, our Human Resources Director, will make comments. Allison?
Good evening, Vice Mayor and Commissioners. So what you have before you this evening are these three items that affect our employees' health benefits and flexible spending accounts. Due to the changes in the healthcare industry brought about by COVID-19, the federal government has opened a myriad of options that employers can offer to employees that would allow greater access to healthcare and using their flexible spending account funds. This agenda item seeks to assist the City of Coffeyville's employees through these three changes to our healthcare coverage and FSA accounts. First, a resolution which allows those employees who had $50 or more remaining from last year's flexible spending account to use those funds by September 30th of 2020. Currently, the expenditure of set-aside FSA funds from the 2019 to 2020 FSA plan year ended 60 days after the end of the plan year. This guidance was altered by the IRS with their Notice 2020-29. Second, to increase carryover of the current year flexible spending account funds from $500 to $550. At the time of our open enrollment in March, the IRS guidelines allowed a maximum carryover of funds of $500. The IRS Notice 2020-33 changed that maximum carryover. And finally, a change to Meritain Health Insurance Plan, allowing coverage of telehealth visits with a primary provider to be covered at the same rate as a regular office visit. This change is becoming the industry standard in light of COVID-19 and has become a viable option to access health care without exposure to additional pathogens by entering a healthcare facility. If you have any questions about any of these 3 items, I'd be happy to answer.
You've done a good job of keeping up on this.
Yes.
So if there are no questions, I'll move to approve resolutions R20-44, R20-45, R20-46 as presented.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Commissioner York, seconded by Commissioner Van Oster to approve resolutions R-20-44, R-20-45, and R-20-46 as presented. Commissioner York.
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster.
Aye.
Commissioner Maxon.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Down.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you, Alex.
Thanks.
Good job.
Allison. Okay, the next item on our agenda is the city manager's report. Mark?
Mayor, Commissioners, first I'd like to apologize. There was an issue, and that was the reason I was late. And I hope and I think you'll be understanding. But other than that, the departments are moving forward. It is one of those that things which you're aware of that we've opened. So far, everything is going as planned with the pool. It is one of those that we're constantly checking, not only with the Montgomery County Health Department, but also with the state. There has been certain things that are being talked about, issues that are rising, and that is just because of state by state, the situation should an uptick in case it is happening. So we're keeping our eye on that, but so far everything is going as planned. It is one of those that a lot of things that we didn't think were going to be possible are possible now. So we're excited about that. The summer festival, things like that that are coming back on, and so far everything's a go. So staff has been meeting with that. We've met with the college on the duck race, these things to get them back online. And but I want to tell staff that I know you do, but I appreciate what they're doing, and it has been an odd year, and we're just keep moving forward, and hopefully things don't change too much. So if there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer those.
Being none, we'll move on to comments from commissioners and staff. So anybody have anything? Justin, you have anything?
I just want to thank you, all 3 of you, for stepping up. We kind of have an odd setting for a meeting here, and I appreciate it. I want to say thank you to the staff at the city, because we've today's climate, there's a lot going on, and everybody's having to do the best with what we got with all the COVID going around, and I just appreciate it and want to say thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Anything in particular? Okay. All right. Nothing else? The next item on our agenda pertains to an executive session, so I will move to recess to an executive session pursuant to KSA 75-4319B2 to discuss certain contract issues pursuant to the attorney-client relationship exception. This will include the city attorney, the city manager, our director of electric utilities, the deputy director of public works, and finance director, and to reconvene in the commission room at, so how long do you think? 7:40, I mean,
Justin will have to call in. So
Okay.
it will move the phone into there, so it'll be
Okay.
just a few minutes.
Okay,
half
so
an hour
I'm going
or-
to say
Oh,
7:50?
I was gonna say is if you would like, we can always come out and extend it if you'd like
Okay.
to do that, and that way,
Okay.
should items be answered.
Okay. We'll reconvene at 7:50, let's say that. So we need a few minutes here so we can go in and have Justin call in, okay?
Sounds good.
Okay? Made a,
Are you making?
I made the motion,
Okay.
mhm.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Commissioner Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner York, to recess to executive session pursuant to KSA 75-4319B2 to discuss certain contract issues pursuant to the attorney-client relationship exception to include the city attorney, city manager, director of electric utilities, deputy director of public works, and finance director, and to reconvene in the commission room at 7:50. Commissioner Van Oster,
Aye?
Commissioner Maxon,
Aye.
Commissioner York,
Aye.